In Roman mythology, if you were approached by somebody who was doing miraculous things, it was usually, supposedly, a junior god, like Hermes, or Mercury was his Roman name. Yeah. Cupid, that's the Roman name for Eros, etc., etc. All these things we toss around, you didn't know where they came from. Well, that's where they come from. As far as Cornelius knew, because he was doing miraculous things. This was Peter. People were getting healed. People's lives were changing. It was amazing what was happening with Peter. He was getting out of jail free without a card, Great things were happening around Peter. Everyone knew there was something unique and special about Peter. And so Cornelius does what any Roman would have done if he believed the stories about Peter, and that was to fall down at his feet and worship him. And Peter says, what? Hey, good job. Thanks for the welcome. No, he sets him on his feet, right? I too am a man. I too am just like you. And as he talked with him, he went in and found many persons gathered. You see God at work here? God at work here. Many persons gathered. This was a setup from God. And in verse 28, he said to them, Peter tells them what a big deal this was. You yourselves know how unlawful, according to the Jewish law, it is for a Jew to associate with or visit anyone of another nation. But God has shown me that I should not call any person common or unclean. So, Peter's getting it. He knows what the vision has to do with it. So, verse 29, when I was sent for, I came without objection. I asked then why you sent for me. And Cornelius said 4 days ago, and Wendell, you mentioned it here, Cornelius was expecting him. This is why. 4 days ago, about this hour, I was praying in my house at the 9th hour, and behold, a man stood before me in bright clothing. Who do you think that was? Probably angelic messenger. I presume that it was. And lost my place. A man stood before me in bright clothing and said, Cornelius, your prayer has been heard, and your alms have been remembered before God. Send therefore to Joppa, the city of Joppa, and ask for Simon, who is called Peter. He is lodging in the house of Simon, another Simon, a tanner by the sea. So I sent for you at once, and you've been kind enough to come. Now therefore we are all here in the presence of God to hear all that you've been commanded by the Lord. What is Peter to do here? Cornelius knows that Peter has a message, right? That he's got a special message from God. What is that message? We call it the gospel, right? What is that message?
Jesus died, was buried, resurrected.
Right.
Those who have faith in him will have eternal life.
That's right. That's right. The death, the resurrection of Jesus, and by faith we are given the gift of eternal life. And that works. That's right. That is the gospel, the good news. So here's his opportunity, right? Now, if Peter were bound by the same prejudices, listen to the way I said that, bound, tied up, chained, yoked, if he were bound by the prejudices that many Christians today are bound by, would he then have done here what God expected him to? No.
It's a huge leap, isn't it? It's a huge chasm.
It wasn't just a personal prejudice in his case. It was the rule. He was to not do it. But he was a bad Jew in a lot of ways anyway. He believed that Jesus was the Messiah. And so, what have I got to lose? No, I don't know that he approached it that way. But it wasn't just a personal prejudice on Peter's part here. This was, he had every excuse to say, no way, Lord, I'm not doing it. Because you know that if I go there, what the other Jews will say about me, and that is that I've been a bad Jew, I'm rejecting God's law, and I will lose my opportunity to be a witness further with other Jews. So I can't do it, Lord. Sorry, you need to find somebody else. And I'm afraid many Christians today use that very line with God. We won't associate, we won't fellowship with people who were created in the image of God, just as we were, and in whom God has breathed and made a living soul.